Kimmel said that people leave his rallies early. This dude who has held the highest office has been called a traitor, he's been called a Russian asset, he's been called all manner of things, but this was the thing. And it's because deep down at his core, even his supporters will admit that deep down at the base of who he is, Trump is an entertainer. And all I'm saying is, as a fellow...
He says he would carry out a deportation operation to remove more than 11 million people from the country. He says he would use the military to build migrant detention camps. He would let red states monitor women's pregnancies and prosecute those who violate abortion bans. He would, at his personal discretion, withhold funds appropriated by Congress. He would fire any U.S. attorney who wouldn't carry out his order to prosecute. He's weighing pardons for everyone who attacked the Capitol January 6th. He said he might not come to the aid of an ally in Europe or Asia if he felt that country wasn't paying enough. He would gut the civil service. He would close the White House Pandemic Preparedness Office and staff his administration only with those who believe the election was stolen from him. And when they asked about dictatorship, he said, "I think a lot of people like it."
Josh Johnson and Jimmy Kimmel didn't just throw jokes at Donald Trump, they completely tore him down, piece by piece. They turned the sitting president into a punchline playground, shredding everything from his obsession with crowd sizes and golf to his non-stop social media slip-ups. His fashion mishaps, rambling speeches, and paper-thin ego were all ripped apart with razor-sharp comedy. This wasn't just a roast, it was a full-blown Trump takedown.
Elon and Trump are fighting. And it's like Christmas came early and twice. Like, the only person calling for peace is Kanye West. That's crazy.
We've come up with a lot of nicknames for Donald Trump, and so in honor of his birthday, we combed through the archives to bring you our top 78 Donald Trump nicknames of all time. Can I get some music for this? Oh, very good. All right, and here we go. Don Corleone, Napoleon Bonaparte, R. Smelly, Fibonacci, Commander-in-Chief.
When Josh Johnson and Jimmy Kimmel team up on Donald Trump, it's more than a roast. It's a demolition derby, with the wreckage looking suspiciously like a golf cart dipped in orange. Trump has never been known for handling criticism with grace, and that's exactly why the duo had such an easy time tearing through his overblown bravado. It was like popping a balloon at a kid's birthday party, only instead of confetti, what comes out is hairspray mist and stacks of legal paperwork.
We are doing tariffs?
Damn right we are. I ain't scared of shit.
Not even more expensive housing?
Tariffs are off.
But that will increase the trade deficit.
On again.
Well, what about the price of breakfast?
Off in the morning, on at night.
But Canada is retaliating.
Off with Canada, on with China. We'll go to war with China. I don't give a f.
Josh, China has nukes.
No tariffs on China. In fact, we're part of China.
Trump has always painted himself as a giant of success, a branding king, a business mogul, the supposed master of the art of the deal. But as Kimmel cleverly pointed out, the only real art Trump has perfected is the art of bankruptcy, the art of suing anyone who bruises his ego, and the art of resembling a creamsicle left melting in the sun. His list of failures is longer than his trademark tie, yet he still parades around like he single-handedly invented winning.
Pumpkin got a head start on Halloween yesterday. He showed up for a rally dressed as a garbage man, which I do have to say, the vest really brings out the color of his mouth. He even rode around in a garbage truck. He got a garbage truck and put his name on it because he is a ridiculous person. Trump hitched a ride in a garbage truck. Let's have another look at our hero.
Kimmel wasted no time mocking Trump's never-ending obsession with crowd sizes. This is a man who could cure cancer and still boast that more people showed up for his announcement than for Martin Luther King's "I Have a Dream" speech. He's never truly been running the country. He's just starring in his own live-action reality show, where the grand prize is keeping Fox News cameras pointed at him. And then came Johnson, slicing through the bluster with perfect precision, comparing Trump's speeches to a drunk uncle explaining why he's no longer welcome at Thanksgiving dinner. They drag on, they sound heated, but in the end, they make absolutely no sense.
For everyone who attacked the Capitol January 6th, he said he might not come to the aid of an ally in Europe or Asia if he felt that country wasn't paying enough. He would gut the civil service, he would close the White House Pandemic Preparedness Office, and staff his administration only with those who believed the election was stolen from him. And when they asked about dictatorship, he said, "I think a lot of people like it." And he's on the cover of Time magazine. He should be on the cover of Doing Time magazine.
Trump's vocabulary could have an entire roast all to itself. He speaks like someone who skimmed the first page of a thesaurus and then gave up. To him, everything is either tremendous, the best, or a total disaster. Hearing him talk about policy is like watching a toddler try to explain quantum physics with a mouthful of Skittles. Johnson nailed it when he said Trump's version of eloquence is just repeating the same adjective over and over until it starts to sound like scripture. If Shakespeare had written the way Trump speaks, English teachers would have quit the profession centuries ago.
Donald Trump floats pardoning Diddy. And it's like, that one doesn't even have anything to do with you. I don't think. Don't you have enough to deal with? That's crazy. As someone who is not in jail, I'm sweating about everybody who's about to be out of jail. This is insane.
And then there's the golfing. No president in history has spent more time on the green while pretending it's work. Trump calls it diplomacy, but in reality, it's just him sweating through 9 holes in khakis while the nation collectively holds its breath. Johnson ripped into this perfectly, saying Trump treats the Oval Office like it's a clubhouse bar, only with worse service and much higher stakes. Kimmel jumped in, pointing out that Trump cheats at golf the same way most politicians cheat on campaign promises. If you can't play an honest round of golf, maybe you shouldn't be running the free world. But the true comedy gold lies in Trump's obsession with social media. For a man in his late 70s, he's basically a teenager trapped inside a billionaire's aging body. He tweets like someone who discovered AOL chat rooms in 1998 and never logged out. Kimmel mocked how he wakes up at 3 a.m. to hammer out angry all-caps rants, while Johnson compared it to watching a raccoon try to order Uber Eats, chaotic, desperate, and wildly embarrassing. No world leader in history has seemed so eager to pick fights with strangers online, as if running the country comes second to dunking on late-night comedians.
Struggling to get into that truck in this iconic moment. He decided it would be a good idea to hold a press conference.
Joe Biden should be ashamed of himself if he knows what he's even doing. And she should be ashamed because she shouldn't let him do it.
The garbage is driving the truck. And then this lunatic decides to stay in the garbage costume for the whole duration of his speech, like a 4-year-old who wants to wear his costume to school.
Kimmel hammered the point home by joking that if Trump ran your neighborhood lemonade stand, he'd still manage to declare bankruptcy before the week was over. Johnson followed up with a brutal analogy, comparing Trump's business empire to a stack of Jenga blocks balanced on a trampoline, flashy at first glance, but one sneeze away from total collapse. And then there's the fashion, or lack thereof. The baggy suits, the comically long tie, and that permanent squint that makes him look like he's staring straight into the sun without sunglasses. Johnson quipped that Trump dresses like a guy who lost a bet at Men's Warehouse, while Kimmel added that the tie isn't long for style. It's long because it's desperately trying to escape the body it's attached to. Somehow, no one has ever spent more money to look like less money. And of course, the crown jewel of the roast, the hair. Decades of speculation, endless memes, and late-night punchlines haven't cracked the code. Is it a wig, a comb-over, or some kind of aerodynamic helmet designed to deflect accountability? Kimmel roasted it as the world's most expensive bird's nest, while Johnson said it resembles cotton candy left out in a thunderstorm. At this point, it's not just hair, it's a national landmark of bad taste.
Trump's treating Americans like a kid you can bribe with a treat. Allow me to demonstrate what Donald Trump is going for here. I don't care about pedophilia anymore.
Trump's speeches could fill their own museum wing, though most of them would belong in the abstract nonsense section. They're a jumble of filler words stitched together with ego, delivered like a broken karaoke machine stuck on repeat. He veers off topic faster than a toddler let loose in Disneyland. Johnson nailed it by saying every Trump speech is predictable. He'll brag, insult someone, butcher a word, and then crown it the greatest speech ever made. Kimmel added that historians won't be quoting Trump in the future. They'll be adding subtitles apologizing for the gibberish. The chaos surrounding him is just as wild. Staff members rotated in and out of his administration like reality show contestants, because working for Trump felt less like a job and more like a survival challenge. Johnson quipped that the Trump White House was basically The Apprentice, except this time the whole country got fired. Kimmel piled on, saying Trump hires people the way toddlers pick Pokemon cards, completely at random, with zero strategy, but always convinced they found something rare. And yet, in the middle of it all, Trump insists on casting himself as America's superhero, the lone savior who can fix everything. Johnson tore that fantasy apart by saying, Trump has the self-awareness of a mirrorless bathroom. Kimmel followed up with the perfect punchline. Trump's the kind of guy who would start a fire, forget the matches were still in his pocket, and then give himself an award for Firefighter of the Year.
Trump, who was barnstorming the Capitol today to give what he described as a pep talk in an attempt to cajole House Republicans into voting yea on his bigly spending bill. The nonpartisan Congressional Budget Office says this bill will explode the deficit by trillions of dollars, while also transferring huge amounts of money to the wealthy and kicking around 7 million people off their health care. It'll take food out of the mouths of millions of hungry children who get SNAP benefits. And it contains a provision to eliminate a sales tax on gun silencers. It will make what they call suppressors more affordable, to which I say it's about time. One thing I think we can all agree on is that the gun violence in this country is too loud.
Trump's rallies might be the strangest performance art America has ever witnessed. They're an endless loop of chanting, bragging, and recycled greatest hits that no one actually asked to hear. Kimmel compared them to stand-up shows where the comedian has no jokes, so he just yells at the audience for not laughing. Johnson chimed in, saying Trump's rally speeches could double as a sleep aid, though even your dreams would end up ranting about fake news. Through it all, Trump somehow stays bizarrely proud of himself. Scandal after scandal, whether it's mishandled documents, shady business deals, or flat-out embarrassing gaffes, he always spins it as a win. Johnson roasted this perfectly, saying Trump is the only man who can trip over his own feet and still call it a marathon victory. Kimmel piled on, noting that Trump's idea of winning is so watered down it would make Charlie Sheen blush. Even when he's caught lying, Trump doesn't back down. He doubles down, triples down, and eventually builds a whole new reality where the lie transforms into gospel. Johnson pointed out that Trump doesn't lie like ordinary people. He lies like a magician running the same trick until the audience forgets it's fake. Kimmel delivered the knockout punch. Trump could stand in front of a burning building, deny it's on fire, and then sell you marshmallows for roasting.
He goes to the Fed. I guess they showing him where they make the money, shred the money. I don't know why he needed to go. He goes on a field trip to the Fed. You know, this is a very funny thing about Donald Trump. He has been very rich his entire life, but he still acts like new money. I have expected Trump to see the money being printed in front of him and go.
And maybe the funniest part of all is that Trump still demands respect. He wants to be treated like a serious statesman while acting more like a reality star who just got voted off the island. Johnson skewered this perfectly, saying, Trump's ego is so fragile you could package it with bubble wrap. Kimmel added that for a man who constantly brags about being tough, he spends more time whining than a toddler denied candy in the checkout line. By the time their roast wrapped up, Trump wasn't just roasted, he was reduced to rubble. Johnson and Kimmel gleefully popped the oversized balloon of his ego, leaving nothing but hot air and hairspray drifting into the ether. And yet, in true Trump fashion, he'll probably still declare it the greatest roast ever, with record-breaking ratings, tremendous jokes, and standing ovations from everyone, even if the only audience was 2 comedians and a nation exhausted by the circus. If there's one thing Josh Johnson and Jimmy Kimmel made crystal clear, it's that Trump doesn't even realize how much of a punchline he's become. He struts around like a self-made legend, but his legacy looks far less like Mount Rushmore and far more like a rundown roadside attraction with a "closed for renovation" sign that's been hanging for decades.
One thing I think we can all agree on is that the gun violence in this country is too loud. It's all so crazy. Their solution to climate change is to fire everyone who studies climate change. It's not happening if we can't see it, right? And there's no gun violence if we can't hear the shots. Trump was joined today by Speaker of the House Mike Johnson, who always looks like a little boy whose dad's yelling at the waitress.
Because, you know, this dude rolls up and pretty early on, I say first 3 minutes, this dude said she was Indian, and then one day she just turned black. He said turned black. And I was like, Donnie, what else you got? That's a little while later, he hit it. I didn't know if it would come up again. I've been waiting. He hit it. He was like, the immigrants are coming and they are taking the black jobs. I've been wondering what a black job was.
Johnson joked that history books won't need entire chapters to cover Trump, just a footnote under the word chaos. Kimmel sealed the punchline by reminding everyone that the only wall Trump ever truly built was the one separating him from reality. Even his supporters weren't spared in the roast. They pack his rallies like fans at a rock concert, screaming for recycled lines as if Trump were headlining Coachella with the same one-hit wonder on repeat. Johnson compared it to watching superfans cheer for a magician who keeps pulling the same tired rabbit out of the same old hat. Kimmel added that Trump doesn't even bother writing new material, because he knows his crowd will applaud anything, even if he just stood there listing the days of the week. By the end of it all, what remained wasn't a president or a leader, but a caricature of one, bloated by ego, sustained by delusion, and dismantled by laughter.